Today on CityCast DC. Dating in DC can get expensive real quick, but romance doesn't have to come with a $300 price tag, which, yes, $300 is how much some people are paying for dates in cities. So whether you're planning for a first date, trying to keep date night affordable, or just looking for something fun to do with your partner, there are plenty of ways to have a great time in this city without spending much at all. Jade Womack, also known as Clockout DC, has built a huge following by finding the best affordable things to do around the city. Today, she joins us to share her favorite DC date ideas for around $15 or less. Today is Thursday, July 16th. I'm Bridget Todd, and here's what DC is talking about. Jade, welcome back to the pod. It is always nice to see you.
It is so nice to see you.
Okay, so my producer, Julia, just shared with me something that kind of blew my mind, which is that this organization called Money Lion, they analyzed the real cost of dating in big cities across the country. And they found that here in DC, the average cost of a date night for three-course dinner, two wine pairings, whatever, movie tickets, cab fare, drinks, all of that, is almost $300, $294. That seems so high to me.
I'm so grateful. Well, I have this. If ever I'm thinking to myself, like, were all my dates cheap because I never got a $300 date? But yeah, I think every time we leave the house, we just have to expect that we're going to spend $100.
Yes, stepping foot outside of my apartment, as soon as my foot hits the pavement of the street that I live on, is $20. I already know I'm in the whole $20.
100%.
Do you feel like anybody is actually dating like this anymore, where we're going to do a dinner with wine and a movie after? I mean, I do think that, listen, we've reported a lot about DC's economy and the job situation here. Not great. Do you think folks are still doing that sort of traditional dating style in DC?
Well, I bet there are people that are still out there doing that kind of date night thing. But also, I guess my question is because I have some friends that are dating right now. And I think the way that they define it, like I'm seeing someone, I don't know if they would consider it like they're hanging out, but I don't know if somebody asked them a survey, would they say if it's going on a date? But I would categorize it, even if it's going to the farmer's market or trying a new menu at a coffee shop. So I think maybe there'll be definitions happening too.
And this is what I love about you, because you really underscore the fact that even in a pricey city like DC, dating does not have to be expensive. You can still have a thriving, robust dating life on the cheap.
Oh, for sure. I think Meridian Hill Park, Malcolm X Park is the new club for the summer. Like, that is where we're going. Why are you spending $300 when there is a live show in front of you of people watching galore, comfortable seating, vibes all around?
The last time that we talked about cheap dates, you told me how you could really elevate a park picnic date, bring a nice basket, a speaker, good food, all of that.
Well, no, correct me if I'm wrong. I think last time we were talking about melted brie at the Arboretum as a picnic. But yes, I think that if you're living close to a park, 100%. I think that if you're going to go off, I know, for example, the National Arboretum has extended hours on weekdays till 8 p.m. I'm not sure if the brie will make it through your trek along the woods.
Yeah, pick a day where the temperature is going to agree with your brie if you're bringing brie. Is that where you would send folks? Like, is that your sort of top secret spot that feels cool or romantic, but actually is pretty cheap?
I would actually say the U.S. Botanic Gardens is my go-to. 3 times a month, they have extended hours where there are cocktails. But also, I think it's like a very metro accessible location compared to National Arboretum. I think some of the hard parts that I find with dating, even though I'm now engaged, but I think when I was dating was the optimization coordination of it all. Like, how am I going to get there after work? How am I going to get there on time? What am I going to be eating? And so I think going to places that are set up for your success, like the U.S. Botanic Gardens, feels rich and wealthy. I mean, it's a gardens, it's beautiful. However, like, it's a cocktail event. They're going to have food around. If you are hungry, you could do a nice little chit chat walk to Eastern Market. If you're trying to get out of the date, it's a short chit chat walk to Eastern Market and have grab a drink somewhere or a quick bite to eat.
When I was doing the majority of my dating, the thing that got me was exactly what you just said, the kind of logistical planning. So it wasn't just, we're going to meet here. It's like, oh, how are we going to get there? Should we share an Uber? Do you want to walk me from my apartment? The amount of back and forth communication that logistics of dates takes. When you've picked a date that is like not super accessible or not metro accessible, or not easy to get to, maybe they don't know where it is, whatever. That was the stuff that would drive me crazy, to the point where I would say, I'm already pissed in the date. I'm already predisposed to have a bad time. The date has not started yet.
Yeah, the mental gymnastics have started. I mean, I know this is an episode about cheap dates, but there's an article, I think, at The Atlantic about like just have your friends over. Like, just have them over. Like, like we are living in a time of isolation and we moved recently. We now have neighbors. And it was so nice. And I was like, hey, do you want to grab a drink? And they were like, do you want to come to our patio and drink? And I was like, wow, this is the easiest plan I've ever had. Not like, are you free in 3 weeks of a Thursday to go to this place? So, yeah, I mean, there's $300 dates. So I feel like that would probably fall in a lot of coordination category.
Here is something from our sponsors at the DC Department of Behavioral Health. DC is turning a corner, and the numbers back it up. Fatal opioid overdoses dropped 33% in this city from 2023 to 2024. That's not just data, that's real people, real families, still together. But the work isn't done, and neither are we. If you or someone you love is struggling, help is closer than you think. Text LiveLongDC to 888-811 to connect with treatment, housing, and recovery support right here in the district. Free Narcan is available at nearly 40 locations across DC because nobody should lose someone for lack of access. And if you're in crisis right now, call or text 988. Know your worth, know your alternatives, know your value, know yourself. Recovery is possible. Find out how at knowyourpathdc.com.
What are some other free things that folks could do on a date night in DC?
Well, right now you're in a really wonderful time because it is outdoor movie season. I know people have mixed views about outdoor movies because once the movie starts, do you want to be those two people getting to know each other, talking through the movie? The day and sunlight are long. Movies usually don't start till dusk or sunset. You have great venues like Union Market where you can check out food. They have one once a Friday. The Library of Congress has them on Thursdays. And then also smaller venues like your local neighborhood park, like Mitchell Park. They have their own movie schedule. The Wharf has movies. I think outdoor movies, and you can combine it kind of like a two-part thing of grabbing a bite somewhere and then going to see the movie or vice versa.
Outdoor movies are very much my thing. I think I've said on the show before, I'm the person that I brought my own chair. I brought my own blanket. I am really, really prepared. I remember
your slippers are here with you.
Yes, yes. I actually just saw this thing today that I'm almost like hesitant to say it on the podcast because I don't want everybody to show up. But do you know Hotel Zena, their rooftop pool, Hetty? I think it's called the Hetty's Rooftop. They're doing a pool movie series where I think tickets are $25. So it doesn't fit in our cheap dates categories, which we're trying to keep around $15 or less. But the idea of being in a pool in the summer while watching a movie, I thought to myself, I can't think of anything that is more up my alley than that.
This is also an outside of that price range, but Politics and Prose, they actually are having a book talk later this month at a pool. They're having like a pool party book talk thing about swimming, and it's like a fiction book. And so, yeah, bring back pool parties for sure. I mean, but that being said, there are public pools in DC. I don't know if that's a date night spot because, to be honest, I don't know if people, like, is that the venue? Do we meet each other in the beginning in a bathing suit? I'm not sure about that. But movie night, definitely up there. And then with that, there's also just plenty of performances happening around the city. So museums, of course, have live jazz sometimes, shows, movies themselves, if you're looking for air conditioning. Your local library, DC Library has so many talks and lectures. I'm not sure if that's the best date night idea, but they have Mahjong, for example, throughout like once a week. That's pretty busy, but if you get there early, I think it's fun to learn a new skill and a hobby.
Speaking of the pool maybe not being the ideal date night spot, that was one of the first hangs I had with my now partner. We just went swimming at Banneker Pool, and I went to their apartment, and I had to change into my bathing suit in the apartment of somebody that at that point, I really didn't know very well. And it was very awkward. It really was sort of, perhaps this was not thought out all the way through of how awkward the vibe would be changing into a swimsuit in the home of somebody I literally barely know.
I will say that seeing a potential love's bathroom revealed everything you need to know about
It
them.
does. It really does. It really does.
But yeah, I think so. But I think also too, like shows. I mean, these are I'm right now focused really on the outdoor part because of just the season and night. But if you don't want to go to an outdoor movie, almost every neighborhood bid has a concert series that you could same vibe. And I think if you talk, people aren't as angry versus if you're like talking maybe over Clueless and people are quoting around you and you're asking like, oh, where'd you go to college? Like, maybe that's not the venue.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense that it's a little more relaxed, a little more laid back, a little casual chit chat is not going to get you death glares from people on the blanket nearby.
And then also too with that, I'm just hopping around ideas here. One thing that I think people don't take enough advantage of is how many museums waive admission throughout the month, whether it's the Phillips Collection every third Thursday they waive admission, or the Capitol Jewish Museum often waives admission, and the National Museum of Women in the Arts. And I think what's really great about those in particular is that they waive admission oftentimes after hours. I think we talked about this once, Bridget, about date night. What is the perfect night to have a date? And the options on a Wednesday night are far different than the options you'll have on all day Saturday. And so taking advantage of these extended hours where admission is free is, I think, a great date night idea.
And I think it makes you look cultured. It's something different than let's grab a drink, let's get dinner. If a date suggested, oh, let's walk around the Phillips collection together, I don't know, I think it could set you apart.
Oh yeah, of course. And they'll talk about their most recent NPR piece they heard while they pull out their phone out of their tote bag. Yeah, of course, of course. I mean, DC loves to nerd out together.
I was going to say, this is the most DC specific nerdy date that I could imagine.
I saw some friends at this thing called Profs and Pints. It's $15 about for a lecture, I think, or maybe it's 16. It's somewhere around there, and they have topics about everything. And I saw a friend there on a date about Greek gods and sea creatures of the Roman. I mean, we're having an Odyssey summer, but they were there on a double date for a lecture. They grabbed a drink before at the bar. This was at Penn Social, if I believe. So yeah, I think that is perfect for a DC date. But there are many bars that have similar kinds of things, whether it's Astronomy on Tap, which is a free lecture series, or Dewdrop Inn, for example, has opera on tap if you want to have opera performers. And we actually just went on a double date thing at Broadway right now, which was like a Disney movie trivia at the Alamo. We got smoked, but there are plenty of fun, engaging activities that I guess massage the brain.
So now that you're talking about bars and other like restaurants and spots, you've kind of set me up nicely for my next question. Are there any
Sure.
food or drink or happy hour related spots that aren't going to break the bank necessarily?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that people have realized in the past year that the whole going outside spending $20 moment that you just mentioned, and we're seeing more martini specials, we're seeing more happy and more generous happy hour specials, like drinks you actually want to drink, not like the $4 cores. And so I would always say to people, going to Cucina Marini. EB's has great reviews if you can get a spot though, which is pretty tough for a date. I think All Souls, every first date takes place there. Martha Deer, I think you're trying to find a balance of like, so going back to what we talked about earlier, right? You're trying to set up this date. How am I going to get there? What am I going to eat? What am I going to do? And then you go there and it's a crazy bar for happy hour and you're fighting for a seat to get a drink and you can barely hear the person across from you. So I think there's a little bit of a give and take in trying to set you up with the right vibe. Whether it's getting a cocktail bar, like at a hotel bar, for example, the Occidental, I find their bar to be lovely, and you're not going to be dealing with the crowds as much.
I just made it into EB's for the first time a couple of months ago, and the hype is real, people. I really, really enjoyed it. It felt so cozy and neighborhoody. We were really that table that was, we're going to be here all day. And I agree, if you can get in, I really co-sign their whole menu. I had a fantastic burger there and a fantastic martini there. But I do kind of feel what you're saying of, you have to really think it through intentionally of, is fighting to get a spot at the really hot ticket bar or hot ticket happy hour that might save you some real money, is that going to be setting yourself up for a good first date experience if it's super crowded, somebody has to sit at the bar and somebody has to stand because it's too crowded, that kind of vibe?
Yeah, I find breweries to be kind of the happy medium for all of that because they're the space of them, whether it's Lost Generation in Brooklyn, not as metro accessible, but on the MBT, like it's a large space. There, it's never, in my view, too crowded. And because it's a brewery, it's like priced pretty reasonably because, it's from there, or Right Proper's new location in Brooklyn. I find those to be great kind of like middle grounds.
Ooh, you could meet up, take bike share on the MBT to the brewery. We're getting a good little date here. Cheap, accessible.
Yeah, and then you could, walk to the metro station afterwards if you wanted to, or head to Union Market. But yeah, definitely cheap and accessible, and also just fun. I mean, breweries are such great vibes.
I agree. Also, for some reason, I feel like games, like you could bring a card game or a game or get to know you game at the
They all
brewery.
have board games. They all
Yes.
have board games. And yeah, I that's actually been one of our we're saving up for a wedding, go-to double dates lately is that we just have friends over for board games or we meet at bars and play board games. People, of course, know about the boardroom and Dupont Circle. They have a great collection of games in the corner. But I will tell you, like pretty much any brewery, whether it's Red Bear, Lost Gen, they're gonna have board games that you can take and play and hang out.
What about events? I feel typically a ticket to something in DC might run you 20, 30, even 40, $50 in DC. Are there events that folks should know about that might have reduced price tickets or specials or just a little bit of a cheaper experience altogether?
That's a fair question, and I wish I had a better answer for you because I feel like you have this competition between like Smithsonian museums or their after-hour events, whether like right now I think, or it may be a just passed, but there was an after-hour cell phone party at the Natural History Museum exhibit fund lecture that's free, and I would totally advise someone to go to this. Or the Library of Congress has a happy hour, and that's free. You just have to get a pass from 5 to 8 p.m. It's less complicated than National Gallery of Art's lottery system, but there is still a little bit of a logistics of reserving a time pass for it. Last night we went to the Hillwood, and there I think our tickets are $20 for that event, which is maybe a little bit higher than that $15 mark you're looking for. But I think for most parties right now, museums that are not going to be like a Smithsonian, they're in that $20 range. Planet Word and the National Museum of the Arts are the two that come to mind that might have a little bit of an exemption. But Planet Word, it's donation based. Take that how you want to about how much you want to donate to get a ticket there. And then the National Museum of the Arts, they do discount their tickets if you are a DC resident by $2 or $3.
Planet Word is my very favorite museum in the city. I know that's a controversial take because we've got so many of them. It's just so fun and so interactive. And I feel like every time I'm there, I learn something that I genuinely did not know.
It does not surprise me as somebody who is into podcasting and internet culture that you would enjoy the language museum.
Yes. As a certified yapper, I enjoy the museum that's all about language and words and
Exactly.
communication. Are there spots that you think are maybe a ripoff or not worth it? Or if you're trying to stick to a budget on a date in DC, just scratch it off your list, avoid?
Oh my gosh, I don't know. I got so much heat. I actually really hated the National Geographic Museum, and it was $30. So take that. I take that as it was too much screens. I would say that lately, luckily, a lot of these immersive, Degas, Monet, that whole era of screen immersive exhibits has left DC. And I found like most people, they found those to be a ripoff. We haven't approached yet the holiday season where things get a little bit questionable when we're talking about like themed pop-up bars for Christmas or that kind of thing where I think ripoffs are. Right now we're in the summertime where things are for the most part free and accessible and fun, luckily.
There used to be this Van Gogh immersive experience. I think it's since closed down. That was the
It has.
biggest ripoff. I will die mad about the waste of money that was. And I am someone who likes immersive art, but this was not an immersive experience. I just felt like it was a cash grab, and I'm glad they shut down.
Yeah, I think that one thing I would start flagging is that if you see anything that is a bar, I don't know if this is a first date or any type of date idea, but anything that's like a bar crawl in the city, I would be very suspicious of. And any embassy event that's over the price of $10, I would also be suspicious of. Because I think one common misconception people have when they see an embassy event is that the embassy is the venue. It is not the person running the event. So therefore, the people that are running the event are renting the embassy and trying to turn a profit. It is a different kind of. Oftentimes, I find their bars are understaffed. The food is not enough, and people end up kind of really disappointed. And similarly, when it comes to bar crawls, usually the bar crawl gives you a percentage off of a drink. It actually is not an all-inclusive, like I paid for tickets for drinks or something. So you end up spending more money in the end. So yeah, I would say those are the two to really flag. I think people see museum embassy events, and because they're kind of rare, the ones that are in the public after May and Passport DC is that they flock to them, whether they're balls, galas, what have you. But just be a little bit careful and definitely do your research.
Jade, I was having drinks with a friend who got doged in the first wave of mass layoffs in DC. And something they told me that really broke my heart is that they felt like they had to put thinking about dating on pause. And we had a whole conversation about how, for a lot of us, it kind of feels like you're on some sort of a ticking timeline where you've got to check off engagement, married, buy house, have baby before you can start the next phase of life. And they were like, it feels like losing my job makes it so that I have to put all of this on pause. For someone listening who feels that way, what would you say? Like, can you experience a healthy dating life if that's what you're looking to do in DC, even if you don't have a ton of money?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you'd want to end up with anybody who would treat you so poorly because of your financial status. Quite frankly, I think you probably have so much more value than your income or what you can provide of your character. You can't buy character. So I wouldn't be discouraged, whether you're doged or right now still searching for a job or what have you. I think DC in itself, some of our best times with our friends is just yapping on the phone, hanging out, like buying groceries together with your person. It doesn't matter where you are. You can be miserable eating a 5-course meal across from somebody. I'm not saying like you should date cheap as a test for someone, but I really think that people's character, you want to be with somebody who would be there if you ever lost a job in the future anyway. So I don't be discouraged from dating. It's just, unfortunately, we live in a very expensive city, and some people have some type of, I don't know, Excel spreadsheet about how they want to live their lives, and that's probably honestly not your person.
Great advice as always, Jade. Thank you so much for being here.
And thank you for having me.
That is all for today here on CityCast DC. If you enjoyed the show, why not share it with your friend who you know is ballin' on a budget? You can rate the show, leave us a review, and subscribe to our morning newsletter. And don't forget to become a neighbor. Just head to membership.citycast.fm to join. And it's around the same cost as some of those cheap dates you heard about in this very episode. Just $10 a month. Again, that is membership.citycast.fm. And we'll be back tomorrow morning with even more news from around the city. Talk to you soon.